Price is going to rise. Price is going to rise. What can you do about it? They elected a president who wants to put tariffs on everything. What can you do about it? What are you going to do? Huh? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You work harder. You get richer based on your merit. You ever been passed over at work for somebody who wasn't as good as you? The Target CEO, Brian. Who gives a shit what his last name is? Every CEO is named Bob or Brian. Really. The Target CEO. What's up, Jacob? Good to see you. Oh, and if you're new here, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I am Rob. I do a live stream every single weekday. Every weekday. And we bring you news and commentary. Good to see the fam up in here. Jacob. So the Target CEO, Brian, again, their last names are irrelevant. It's a bunch of old white guys named Brian or Bob. He gave himself a raise last year from up a couple million to 19 million. Well, the 19 million, and links down below. Victor Martinson, what's up? Sweden in the house. Am I right? Sweden? Am I right? CEO of Target, Brian, gave himself a raise, couple million, to $19 million a year. The guy who makes $19 million a year said today, CBS or CNBC or one of these bullshit media outlets, link below, in his interview, he said, sorry, folks, Trump's tariffs are going to rise the price of avocados and eggs and strawberries and bananas, all sorts of stuff at Target. Whoop, prices are going up. It doesn't matter. They could do this anyways. They did this a few different times over the course of the past 5 years, and they did it for no reason. They did it just because they wanted to. But now it's Trump's fault. The CEO of Target, who makes almost $20 million a year, is saying, sorry, folks, you want to eat a banana? You're going to have to be as rich as I am. That is the news. He's like, I can't live off. Jacob, the CEO of Target was like, it's not about what I do. It's really that who can survive off of $18 million a year? I need $20 million. I need that $20 million a year, folks. I don't know if you've ever tried to live off $18 million a year. It just ain't cutting it. Over $1 million a month? I mean, I got boats to float, bitch. And that ain't happening with just over $1 million a month. I need a couple more milli. And who knows? He's probably getting cuts left and right from all different kinds of things. But I don't care about that. I just think it's important. Anytime we talk about a CEO, we understand how much they're making for running Target. It's so greedy. That's right, Sweden. All right, and the other big news is Hasan Abi, one of my favorite streamers of all time. I fell in love with Hasan many moons ago when I heard him talking about that sweet universal health care and his genuine, educated point of view, dispelling the lies and misinformation. Hasan is very articulate, and he breaks it down simply for folks. If you don't follow Hasan, he has a YouTube channel, and I highly suggest you check him out because they re-upload his live stream from Twitch to YouTube, different clips, and he is the voice of a generation. And that hasn't been said since Kurt Cobain, folks. And before that, John Lennon. And I think Hasan, we don't have a rock star. We don't have a Taylor Swift to say is the voice of a generation. She's the voice of the Swifties. Beyonce is the voice of the Bayhive. We don't have a voice of a generation. That has not been floated around, I don't believe, since Kurt Cobain. And I love Kurt. All right, I love Kurt. And I wasn't there when they called it on John, Mr. John Lennon. No relation to, who do people think John Lennon's related to? Vladimir? Isn't the spelling different? Anyways, any normal person would love to make half as much. Listen, any normal person would just like to make enough so they could save up and buy a house. Never mind millions. That's the war we're fighting. The class war we're fighting, folks, is like, we just want to be able to, when Target CEO who makes $20 million a year says, hey, jerks, avocados and bananas, strawberries, price is going up. We just want to be able to go, that's okay. We can afford it. That's what we're asking for. And Tim Pool and Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro think we're greedy. We're greedy for it. Elon Musk thinks you're asking too much. He probably would call you a fraud too. But it takes one to know one, homie. Jacob, hey Rob, like a week ago you said something about the Smithsonian Magazine. What was that about? That article that was from last week, it was the nanobots from Baymax, Big Hero 6, the Disney movie. They've truly figured small robotics that can form into one thing. No, that wasn't the Smithsonian. I'm sorry, that was a different article. Hey Rob, got my second win in my amateur MMA career. Solid, Tarouche. That's all right. That's all right with me. Look at you, coming on up. Keep working at it. Keep working at it, man. That's good to hear. And I'm glad you got to check in with me. And let me know. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Jacob, the Smithsonian Magazine, was actually an article about how they figured out how to grow plants with electricity. Yeah. Electricity instead of photosynthesis. And I just Google it. Growing plants instead of using the sun with electricity. And I thought, in this day and age of meme coins and cryptocurrency, we don't need more in warehouses to create electricity to grow plants. We have the sun. Stupidest. I couldn't believe. Is Smithsonian been infiltrated by the right mind virus? By the corporate mind virus, where they're like, you know what, we need to grow plants, electricity. Let's put solar panels on top of a building to grow plants because we're going to not use the sun. That was the article. And I was like, what fucking idiots thought this deserved a Smithsonian Magazine article? Probably Ben Shapiro. So yeah, look that up. But back to the course of Hasan, the voice of a generation, folks. And if you know anything about me, I believe, humans shouldn't go into medical debt. I believe if we want the smartest, the greatest nation, we should have free college like we did long, long ago in America. I think there are many important things that most importantly, I think the working class needs to be educated and has to have some sort of sense of community so we understand that we're fighting for each other. And there's a lot of these people out here that are listening to corporate propaganda, and unfortunately they've been fed enough propaganda where they think certain jobs, certain people shouldn't be able to afford to live. They shouldn't be able to afford insulin. They shouldn't be able to work one job and buy a home or go on vacation. And it's only in line. If your worldviews align with the CEO of Target's who makes $20 million a year, something's wrong there. If you and him both think you should underpay Target employees, like your beliefs shouldn't align with the guy who, basically would love to exploit you any second he got the chance to. And he's doing it right now by raising the price of strawberries, bananas, and avocados. So your beliefs just shouldn't align with the CEO of the company. You guys are at odds. The CEO of the company needs to pay you the least amount of money. That's why you have negotiations if you've ever worked for a contract. They don't go, you've done a great job, we're giving you a huge raise. You usually have to go in there and fight for it. So if you've ever been in a negotiation, they go, we think you're only worth 1% more, and you go, yes, sir. Then I don't know what to tell you. But if you believe that, after 50 something odd years of deregulation and society going the way it is, and I saw this stat the other day. It said a homeowner in 1991 was the average age of 28. In 2006 or something, it was 31. In 2024, it was 38. The average homeowner now is over 38 years old, or average 38 years old. In 1991, it was 28. What does that say? Something's going wrong, folks. You don't need me to tell you this. Just look around. But Hasan does an amazing job at disseminating this information and calling it what it is. And he was just banned from Twitch, which is horrific because he was banned for words. And weird thing is when I started reading and watching, he released a video on YouTube, which I linked down below, because he will go over the whole ban. What he got banned for, he watches it on the video, he apologizes, and then he continues on about it. And I think everybody, if you don't know who Hasan is, go watch him, go follow him. Please hit subscribe and hit the notification bell here. But Hasan got in trouble for words. And for the free speech crowd, the right-wingers, and the people who are anti-Hasan, most of them aren't serious people. They're putting up a straw man argument that he supports Hamas or whatever it is, right? And he doesn't. And I watch this dude a lot. And I watch him articulate his point of view, and he articulates very well. But man, it's so unfortunate. So many people are going for the crown or want to take him down because he supports common people. He really fights against things. But you would think all these free speechers, free speech absolutists would be defending him right now, because he did use language, K-I-L-L. He used that word when discussing Medicare, Medicaid fraud. That's what he got banned for. And it was funny because I was actually watching that stream where he discussed this. I was there live when he went over this. And I didn't think it was anything big. He said, if you really want to go after Medicaid and Medicare fraud, you need to go after the providers, not the patients, not the people who are on it. They're not creating the fraud. It's the hospitals. And he pointed out Rick Scott, which I had loosely heard of, but I didn't know the depth of Rick Scott, former Florida governor. Before he was elected, he operated a hospital and a huge national hospital chain, and he robbed taxpayers and the Medicare Medicaid system of billions of dollars. Billions! Never saw a day in prison, was elected a governor of Florida after. And Hasan was pointing this out and said, if you really want to go after that fraud, Rick Scott's your guy. But he said it in different language. Clearly a joke in his language. Clearly not offensive. I was there and I was like, this is insane when I found out this is what the ban is. But again, Twitch owned by Bezos, Amazon, and every right-winger and every person that claims to be not a snowflake and very tough and free speech absolutist is just clutching their pearls right now. They're all not very serious people. And there are a bunch of different videos on why Hasan got banned and people gloating over the ban and saying he's a bad person because of this. And none of it's genuine. None of it is genuine. And I'm telling you that as somebody who watches him. And I couldn't even watch one of these videos by these goofballs because they're like, he's a terrorist supporter. I'm like, we understand you hate him because he stands up for working class people, but like you can't have that and make a serious argument. And a lot of people are doing it. Ethan Klein, I think, is one of the biggest ones, and he's just anti-genocide. And I'm not going to go much into more of that, but really, it's amazing to me that the free speech absolutists, the First Amendment, the constitutionalists, the First Amendment, the whatever you want to call them, are upset over a word. That was clearly a joke, clearly not intended to incite anything. And this just shows like it's a facade. If the people that you follow say, we believe in free speech, you should be able to say anything. And especially like Elon Musk was saying some much worse things than Hasan ever had on his own platform. So much so that people were like, is the Secret Service going to investigate this? And there's been, I mean, like, just think of all the politicians like Trump and Elon who go after judges and put their information out there for people to clearly, their little army of bots to go after. Like, right-wing politicians do this all the time, but they do it under the guise of like free speech, free speech. So if somebody you follow or listen to says free speech all the time and they want free speech, but then if somebody that they disagree with does something that's clearly a joke or whatever, or should fall under the same guidelines where they've done things under the guideline of free speech and they claim it's not, and then we should cancel them, like, that just shows you they're a phony, they're a poser, they're a fake, they're not genuine, they're not a serious person. Because if you're going to say free speech for all, which we can get into what free speech is, it's not hate speech, it's not inciting violence, but jokes being hyperbolic, I don't even know what Hasan was saying, but hyperbole, using hyperbole, I guess that's what he was doing. I don't really use that. I know Joe Biden said it all the time. But if he's using hyperbole, like, that's clearly free speech. So if these people that you see a video on or see in the news or see in an article are free speech absolutists and then go after him for his hyperbole, they're not serious people. And I linked the video down below that Hasan released that was his apology, which that was big of him to say, I could have used different language, but his point still is made. Rick Scott bilks taxpayers. If Trump and Elon really want to go after Medicare fraud, he was proven, his companies were proven to be found milking, scamming, frauding the taxpayer out of billions of dollars, and nothing happened. He got a golden parachute like you wouldn't believe out of his companies. Then he got elected as a Republican as the governor of Florida. So it's just funny that all these people will get so terrified over the words Hasan's using instead of the real fraud going on. And what does that tell you? This is where we got to critically think, folks. If people are getting upset over some words, but they're fine with Rick Scott because he aligns with their beliefs, and even though he's committed fraud, what does that tell you, folks? What does that tell you right there? That it's just about canceling someone they disagree with, because any kind of dissent is not good. Any kind of thought-provoking, uncovering. I mean, he did a whole stream where he talked about and brought up instances, real-life instances of Medicare or Medicaid fraud. As a Rick Scott, still in America to this day, is the biggest offender of Medicare and Medicaid fraud. Rick Scott, the former Republican governor of Florida, he is to this day. Nobody is bigger than him. Billions of dollars, and nobody gives a rip. They're mad at what Hasan said about calling out this just to push more people. I think that you should do more to get more views. So you take your lives and clip stuff and make shorts. Oh, that's a good idea, Jacob. I should do that. Still here. What's up, Victor? That is a good idea, Jacob, and I should do that. You were right. Because you know what? Even Hasan does that. And I love what Hasan does. I think he is the voice of a generation. I think, he's a leading mind in this movement, and there's no compromise in him. He believes for the working class. He didn't make enough money and then kick out the ladder underneath him. Even if he's doing okay, he still believes that people should, like our society should be enough where you can work one job and survive, and a medical emergency doesn't put you into debt. Those are good people in my book. And that's how, I don't know, you'd hope more working people think. And Hasan does that. He takes this, so he's banned from Twitch right now. He still has his YouTube channel, but he takes his Twitch streams and puts them on YouTube. That's how a lot of the time I watch him if I don't catch him live. But that's a good idea, Jacob. I got to do more. I really do. And I thank you for encouraging me to do that. I also, yesterday I was reading from the Shock Doctrine, the book, and in the book they cite this movie called State and Siege. I believe that's what it's called. And I linked, the Internet Archive has a free stream of the movie. It's like a 2-hour movie about what was going on, I think, in Argentina or Chile. Forgive me. I'm just trying to catch this thing, because down in the description I have a link to a movie, and I haven't got to watch the whole thing, but it is a fascinating movie. And also, there was a guy a while ago who was citing to me why we should cancel USAID, and I put this in my posts in my community, and he sent me a Jesse Waters video, and I was like, you idiot! I don't take people serious that get their news from Jesse Waters, the entertainment opinion piece master. The Jesse Waters, the host on Fox News. And then he sent me a Wall Street Journal, and I was like, are you just sending me all of Rupert Murdoch's news sources, because it's all owned by Rupert Murdoch? So I'm like, they're going to echo each other. And it's funny because the guy he was talking about, the American police officer who, helped by the CIA, went to South America to train and help torture people, that was funded by USAID, is in my book. And it's funny that a right-wing guy was saying, like, we need to defund USAID because of this CIA American operative going to help torture people in South America. And I just had a gut feeling. I didn't know this at the time, but I was like, I feel like this dude might be like defending stuff that he shouldn't be, because to them it's like socialism is not something you defend. And it turns out that American CIA op that was in South America was doing it to torturing leftists and socialists while they were gutting all of the dissidents to Pinochet's regime and the other regimes in South America that were trying to implement Milton Friedman's unfettered capitalism. So it's funny that Fox News, you know, they don't tell you what you said was funding it for to defeat the leftist movement in South America. They just say, like, if Elon Musk says we need to get rid of it. So I wanted to point that out, and I got to go back and check that guy's tweet and see if I can say, do you know what? So you're defending the leftists and the socialist movement in South America? If you want to defund, you said, USAID. Oh, typical Fox manipulation, 100%, 100%. So I just wanted to bring you that info, and I want people to understand, you got to check out Hasan, especially when he comes back from his ban. You can watch his clips here on YouTube. I think it's Hasan Abi on YouTube, and watch the video. I linked it down below because he goes over what got him banned, but he still is keeping his point. I mean, this dude is unwavering. He's like, you get mad at me for using hyperbole, but nobody cares about Rick Scott because he's a Republican. I mean, this is just when it's not about fraud. It's not about anything other than pushing what their narrative needs to be to trick people, to propagandize people, while behind the scenes they're doing whatever, robbing people, getting contract, whatever it is that they're doing behind the scenes. That's what it's really about. But they don't care about fraud because they'd be calling out Rick Scott, but because he's on their team, they overlook it. Oh, it's infuriating. So solidarity with Hasan. Can't wait for him to come back. And hopefully they don't, of course you see so many people ready to go for the crown because he is a champion for the people's movement. He is a voice of the people. And anyone you see willing to take him down, just understand they don't care about working class people. Anybody that wants to take him down. And you can see what he said. He goes over what he said. Watch some of his videos on some situations. I thought were interesting. Yeah, he is well educated and articulate, and he believes in the people. I don't like Twitch either, but I do love his stuff that he puts on here. All right, guys, hit subscribe, hit notification bell. Much love. Peace.